Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Janine Harry, and it is so good to be back with another channeled message. As you know, these channeled messages are not meant for everyone, it is only meant for a select few. So I have set the intention that this video reaches whomever it should, and that you will receive this message with an open heart and an open mind, and that whatever I say will only be for your greatest and your highest good. This is also a collective channeled message, so please do take what resonates and leave the rest. And also, if you have not done so already, what are you waiting for? Please do subscribe to this YouTube channel and give this video a huge thumbs up, okay? So let's get right into today's message. And the theme is you are touch deprived. You are touch deprived. Now, you may be in a stage of your life where you are probably not going to want to admit this because it seems kind of like cringe and weird. But you are starting to realize that, hey, I need a hug. I need some cuddles. I need a shoulder to cry on. And most often, when we use the phrase a shoulder to cry on, we most often think about that phrase in a metaphorical sense. But you actually need that literal physical shoulder to literally cry on. You need physical intimacy at this point in your life. And when I say physical intimacy, I am not referring to that type of intimacy, okay? I am referring to the innocent hugs that we share with the closest people in our lives. I'm speaking about those really great firm handshakes. I'm speaking about those physical shoulders that we can cry on. I'm speaking about those cuddles. I'm speaking about that reassuring pat on the back, or that moment where you are just receiving that like reassuring stroke of touch on your hand. Like, I'm speaking about that. You need physical connection at this particular point in time because you are so touch deprived. And I never even knew that touch deprivation was a thing, right? Like, in fact, I never even knew that the words or the phrase touch deprive existed. I found out about this a couple of years ago when I came across a video. And this woman was basically saying that she feels so touch deprived because all she really wants is for somebody to just hug her and cuddle her. And when I came across that video, I was like, wow, I think that a lot of us are touch deprived because a lot of us are not getting the adequate amount of hugs that we need, the adequate amount of cuddles that we need. And as I said, this is not something romantic. I'm speaking about the actual innocent physical connection that we are supposed to have with the people in our life. And it's so funny because it's been years since I've seen that video. And today, my higher self just told me, touch deprived. You need to tell somebody out there that they are touch deprived and that it is totally okay to want physical connection and physical contact. Now, a couple of years back, I came across an experiment that was done. Oh, I heard about this particular experiment that was done, but obviously the experiment was done many, many, many years ago, probably before I was born, right? And I hate speaking about this experiment because it's kind of sad because the experiment did turn fatal. It involved two newborn babies, okay? So, with regards to the one baby, let's call it baby A, right? So, with regards to baby A was fed and cleaned, you know. he or she was changed with regards to, having their diaper changed. But in addition to that, baby A also received physical touch, physical hugs, kisses. Baby A was spoken to in a really soft, gentle manner. And then there was baby B, right? Baby B was just fed and changed and then left alone. Baby B did not receive any sort of hugs, any sort of physical contact, any sort of gentle, reassuring conversations or words, and so forth. So, baby A received the physical affection, whereas baby B did not. And what happened over time is that baby B passed on, whereas baby A continued to survive, be alive, and thrive. And this is proof, and basically the experiment proved this as well, that our primary needs are not just for food and water. We also need contact, physical contact. And I am so glad that we are living in a society where it doesn't actually matter if babies are born to parents who are not touchy feely in the sense of, you know, they don't like hugs and kisses and so forth. Because even though you might be born to parents who are not about the hugs and the kisses, it is always good that that child receives, that physical sort of affection from other people in the family, whether it is from a sibling or an aunt, a godmother, whatever the case may be. And I honestly believe that most of us have survived, if not all of us, we have survived because of physical contact. And we just don't realize this, right? Like we think that the only reason why we are alive today is because we received food and water. But we also received physical contact, physical touch. And it's so wild because we don't realize that that is one of our basic needs. We actually do need physical touch to survive. And it's so crazy that we go throughout our lives, we enter a stage in our lives, specifically adulthood, where all of that just stops. We don't receive the hugs, we don't receive the kisses, we don't receive the cuddles, we don't receive the shoulders to cry on because we may have been conditioned to believe that those things are cringe. And you can tell me nothing because I personally love hugs, but I've got my limit as well. Like sometimes I feel like hugs or too much hugs are just so cringe. Like I'm literally also learning to be okay with physical contact because I did not grow up in a family where we were big on hugs and kisses. So I'm learning to really appreciate physical contact, and I'm okay with realizing that this is what we need as human beings. And even just saying that brings up this feeling of cringiness within me because it's still something that we are so uncomfortable with having to admit. We are so uncomfortable with having to admit that we actually need physical touch because touch deprivation is an actual thing. And I think it is so important for me to once again remind you that this has got absolutely nothing to do with romantic contexts. This has got nothing to do with having a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, or a wife. There is nothing sexual about wanting to have physical connection. I am not speaking about touch deprivation in the context of anything romantic. I just feel like I need to make that clear because most often we associate touch with something that is romantic, something that is sexualized, or we feel like we need to be in relationships before we can get those physical things, before we can get those hugs, those cuddles, those kisses. Okay? And when I speak about kisses, I'm not speaking about kisses. I'm speaking about the peck on the cheek, the loving kiss on the forehead. So today I want you to really start not only understanding that touch deprivation is a thing and that physical contact is a necessity, but I want you to start giving that physical context or that physical sort of connection to the people around you. Obviously, you need to practice discernment when it comes to this. You can't be going around giving everyone a hug and a kiss and cuddling everyone and being like, hey, I've got a shoulder for you to cry on. Obviously, we've got to practice discernment and we've got to act appropriately in whichever contexts we find ourselves in. But I think that we need to practice physical connection within our households and with the people closest to us. If you haven't hugged your child in a really long time, please go up to your son and daughter and just give them that hug. If you haven't cuddled with your kids for a long time, please go and cuddle with those kids. Because we need to be taught that healthy forms of physical connection is okay. And this is something that needs to be programmed and installed within us from childhood already. So if you are a parent, I am urging you to give your son or your daughter a hug because most often they're hearing you giving them the pep talk each and every single day. You know, mom and dad is once again just, giving me the pep talk. They're telling me to do this and to not do that and so forth and so forth. But when last have you actually given your child a hug? If you are married, and you've been married for a long time, it may seem like really cringe to go and give your husband and your wife that hug. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. My parents are going to hate me for saying this out loud, but even my parents are so embarrassed to hold hands and to be all cuddly and lovey dovey in public or in front of me and my sibling. And I'm always like so shocked at that because, come on, guys. A couple of years back, when you guys met, you were so in love. You probably couldn't get enough hugs and kisses in. And now you're out here being embarrassed about simply giving each other a hug in public or holding hands. So please do extend those hugs to people in your life. And as I said, and I feel like I need to make this like really, really, really clear. This is not about anything sexual. Okay, I do not speak about touch deprivation in the context of anything romantic, anything sexual, and so forth. I'm speaking about those innocent and loving forms of physical connection that we need to have with the people in our life. When last have you received a hug? It's probably been a while, right? Like if you're watching this video, I know that it's been a while for you. But the best thing about a hug is that to give a hug, you are automatically receiving a hug at the same time, right? So, in order to get that hug, go and give someone a hug. Go and give someone a reassuring pat on the shoulder. Actually, tell people that, hey, I've got a physical shoulder right here that you can cry on and lean on if need be. So, yes, you have got to realize that touch deprivation is so real and physical connection is something you so deserve. Most often we find ourselves in a state where we are feeling ill. And the first thing we think of doing is we think of running to the doctor or taking medication. Sometimes the best cure is just a hug. And hugs are free. Like you don't have to pay for a hug. It is free. Sometimes all you need is a hug. So go ahead and give those free hugs out because you deserve it. And I'm sure that you know of someone that needs that hug as well. So, yes, I'm going to leave this message right here for now. It's a bit of a, let's call it something new, something like, oh, out there, but it's a message you needed to hear. And that's why you are here, right? So, yes, if you feel like, hey, there's someone you know that might need to hear this message as well, then please do share the link of this video with that person. But hey, I want you to have an amazing week further. Till next time, much love.